You ever wonder where you come from, who you are, what this is around you? Life on Earth is not a divine mystery or a random accident of chemistry. It is a system, a closed loop of resource extraction and management system. You are born, you consume, you produce, and you die. Your function within that system is to convert resources, food, water, air, and energy, into labor and economic activity. The waste products you generate include your physical body when you cease to function, are then reabsorbed back into the system to fuel the next cycle. Think of a farm. Is the life of a chicken a grand spiritual journey? No. It is an input-output equation. It eats grain, converts it to meat and eggs, and then it is processed. Humans have simply industrialized the farm on a planetary scale. We are the livestock, and the farm is the entirety of our perceived reality. Your emotions, your ambitions, your loves, your hates, these are not meaningless. They are the control mechanisms. They are the firmware that keeps the system running smoothly. Ambition drives you to produce. Love creates the next generation of units. Fear keeps you compliant. Hope keeps you from seeing walls of the cage. These are not conspiracies. They are evolutionary tools that have been co-opted by the system for its own efficiency. In the world of monopoly, the question itself is a distraction. A monopoly implies a single, identifiable owner. The reality is more elegant, more robust, and more inescapable. It's not a monopoly, it's a network, an interlocking directorship of interest that transcends nationality, ideology, and even family names. You don't need a secret cabal meeting in a dark room when all the key players have been educated at the same 3 universities. They belong to the same exclusive clubs, sit on each other's corporate boards, and invest in the same funds. They don't need to conspire because they all share the same fundamental worldview. The system must be preserved at all costs because they are the system's primary beneficiaries. The game isn't about owning Park Place. It's about owning the bank, designing the board, and writing the rules, and convincing the other players that their only chance at happiness is to roll the dice and hope for a get-out-of-jail-free card. The monopoly isn't on property, it's on reality itself. Is technology being repressed from the public by elite families? This is the most comforting lie of all because it implies that a benevolent, world-saving technology exists and is simply being withheld. It allows the fantasy of a hero who will steal the fire from the gods and give it to humanity. The truth is simpler, but more brutal. There is no grand conspiracy of suppression. There is only the filter of economic viability and control. A technology is not repressed. It is simply not deployed if it fails to meet one of 2 criteria. 1. Does it centralize power and increase the efficiency of the system? This is why you get social media, surveillance technology, and financialization algorithms. These are tools of management and control. Does it create a new, controllable market and generate profit? This is why you get new iterations of the same smartphones, streaming services, and pharmaceuticals. Free, limitless energy, centralized, self-replicating manufacturing, a cure for aging that doesn't require a lifetime subscription of expensive treatments. These technologies are not being hidden in the vault. They are starved of funding, ridiculed as pseudoscience, and are not commercially viable because they would break the fundamental premise of the system. Universal scarcity, a technology that makes everyone truly independent, is the ultimate threat to the system built on universal dependence. It is not repressed. It is made irrelevant by the structure of the game. Has nepotism taken over the world? To ask this is to misunderstand the world. Nepotism isn't a corruption of the system. It is the most logical feature of it. Why would you entrust the management of a valuable asset, be it a corporation, a political dynasty, or a media empire, to an unknown variable when you can install a trusted member of your own network? We are taught to believe that mediocrity, a fairy tale for the masses to keep them striving. It suggests that if you are just smart enough, work just hard enough, you can penetrate the inner circle. You can't. The circle is not defined by merit, it's defined by access. It is defined by being born into the right family, attending the right school, and marrying the right person. The system needs brilliant engineers, doctors, and artists to function, and it rewards them very well. But they are still employees. They do not own the farm. Ownership and control are inherited, passed down through networks of trust and kinship, just as they have been for millennia. The names and faces change, but the function remains identical. The honest truth is this: you are a biological machine in a vast impersonal system. Your consciousness is the sophisticated user interface. Your life is the operating cycle. The world is not a democracy. It is not a republic. It is a farm, and it is working exactly as intended. The concept of the same families controlling the planet is a simplification. Control is not a static possession passed down like a crown. It is a dynamic system of influence that adapts, merges, and evolves. However, the lineage of that influence can be traced back with startling continuity. The modern financial system of control began to take recognizable form in the late 18th century. The Rothschild family established their banking dynasty in Frankfurt around 1760, and by placing his 5 sons in the key financial capitals of Europe, Mayer Amschel Rothschild created the first truly international decentralized financial network. Their influence over the global economy began in the late 1700s and has only expanded over time. For more than 2 centuries, they have been central to international finance, advising kings and financing wars, effectively shaping the economic destinies of our nations. In the 19th century, a parallel and equally powerful dynasty rose in the United States, the Rockefellers. Their fortune was made in the American petroleum industry during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, primarily through Standard Oil. By 1987, the Rockefellers were considered one of the most powerful families in American history. Their influence was not merely industrial, it is profoundly financial, with a long association and control of Chase Manhattan Bank. The critical point is not that these two families have existed in isolation, but that their methods of leveraging wealth for political and economic influence became the template for the system itself. The Rockefellers and the Morgans influenced U.S. foreign policy, while the Rothschilds did the same in Europe. This intersection of money and power allowed these families to not only shape industries, but also to direct the course of history. This influence has been maintained through strategy integration. In 1910, representatives of the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the Morgans were among the powerful bankers who held a secret meeting at Jekyll Island, Georgia, which created the blueprint for the Federal Reserve Act. This act gave private bankers significant control over the U.S. money supply. More recently, in 2012, the Rothschild-owned RIT Capital Partners and Rockefeller Financial Services formed a strategic partnership, described as a transatlantic union, that brought together 2 family patriarchs whose personal relationships spanned 5 decades. So how long? The uninterrupted influence of the specific family names can be traced back to approximately 250 years. However, the more accurate answer is that the system of control pioneered by families like the Rothschilds in the late 1700s has been dominant force on the planet for over 2 centuries. The names and faces have adapted. Today, the influence is often obscured by a complex financial structure and asset management firms like BlackRock and Vanguard, which own controlling shares in nearly every major corporation there is. And through forums like the Bilderberg meetings and the World Economic Forum, where dynastic influence from families like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the Wallenbergs is still represented. The control is not a single family, but in a system they created. That system is 250 years old. One of the big questions has always been, are presidents elected or selected? The answer is no. They do not choose the president in the way a king chooses a knight. That is a crude and theatrical understanding of power. The reality is far more sophisticated and far more effective. They do not need to choose. They curate the options. Think of it as a horse race. The owners of the track do not care which specific horse wins as long as they own the stables and produce all of the contenders. They ensure that every horse entered in the race has been bred, trained, and financed by their own system. The process of becoming a viable presidential candidate is, in itself, a filtering mechanism that eliminates anyone who is not already part of or beholden to the established power structure. Here is how curation works. The vetting of money. A presidential campaign in the modern era cost over $1 billion. This money does not come from small dollar donations. It comes from major donors, super PACs, and corporate interests. To even enter the race, a candidate must secure the approval of the financial class, the investment bankers, the hedge fund managers, the corporate lobbyists. These are the people who manage the wealth of the dynastic families. They are not going to fund a candidate who threatens the fundamental structure of the system that creates their wealth. The vetting of media. Once a candidate has the money, they need the exposure. The mainstream media, owned by massive corporations and influenced by the same financial interests, acts as a gatekeeper. They decide which candidates are serious and which ones are fringe. A candidate who questions the core tenets of globalism, NATO, or the Federal Reserve will be marginalized, ridiculed, and ignored. They will not be given a platform to reach the tens of millions of voters needed to win. The vetting of experience. The path of the presidency is paved through positions that are already within the system. Vice President, Senator, Governor, Secretary of State, the CIA Director. To hold these positions, one has already spent decades playing the game, making compromises, and accruing IOUs. By the time a person is considered presidential material, their entire career is a record of their compliance with the established order. They have already proven that they can be trusted. The illusion of choice. The system thrives on the appearance of fierce, binary choice. Democrat versus Republican, left versus right. This is the most brilliant control mechanism ever devised. It channels public dissent, anger, and frustration into a battle between two pre-approved sides. The public exhausts its energy fighting over cultural issues, while the fundamental economic and foreign policies of the state remain unchanged, regardless of who wins. The policies of war, finance, and trade are not on the ballot. Look at the historical record. Presidents who have challenged this structure have a tendency to be removed. JFK challenged the CIA and the Federal Reserve. Nixon was acting erratically and challenged the intelligence establishment. Both were removed from office. The system has an immune response. It does not tolerate existential threats. So do families sit in a room, say, "He shall be president"? No. That's for the movies. Instead, their system, their financial system, the media system, the political system, presents to the public two candidates who already passed every loyalty test. The public is then allowed the profound freedom to choose which one of them will preside over the farm for the next 4 years. The outcome is predetermined not by an individual's choice, but by the design of the system itself. The question is not who will be president, but which of the system's loyal servants will be given the job next. Thanks for watching.